Hello everyone, Steve here from RSM, and welcome to our latest segment of our Coffee Conversations series. Today I have the pleasure to be joined by Stewart Schneider-Loos. Stewart is the CEO of 20Cube Logistics, and welcome Stewart, really good to see you here.
Thank you, Steve. Good to join you this morning.
Excellent. Stewart, as we've spoken briefly about, the theme is having a chat over a coffee, something that we would do in a face-to-face sense more regularly, but of course in the current environment, we live in this virtual world, so we're doing it in a slightly different way. So could I ask you what your coffee of choice is, what you might be drinking today?
Thanks, Steve. I like to start the day off with a flat white and then ease into long blacks during the course of the morning if I need that additional kick. But generally, it's a flat white.
Excellent. Yeah, I think it's wise counsel. I'm a latte drinker, so I've got my latte here. So again, thanks very much for joining us, Stewart. Perhaps before we get into the depth of the conversation, maybe share a little bit about yourself, a little bit about Stewart, who you are.
Okay. Stewart, I am a Sri Lankan by descent. I migrated here to Australia in 1991. So my name is basically of Dutch descent. Okay, so that's how I have the Loos or the Schneider-Loos part in my surname. So I came here I migrated to Australia in 1991. I came to Brisbane and I joined a company called OBM, which was a young customs brokerage at the time. And I brought my international freight forwarding skills to the table, joined the firm, and was able to grow the business with OBM till from 1991 till around 2012, at which time 20Cube came along and they were looking for a partner in Australia. And 20Cube seemed to be the right fit, not just because we only had operations in Australia, but OBM had operations in Malaysia, Hong Kong, and China. So they acquired us, and we've been 20Cube since then.
Excellent. And could you tell us a little bit more about 20Cube in terms of the business and where it is in the market at the moment?
Okay, so we started off in 2012. We started off, my partners, the founders of the business, they wanted to fill a vacuum in the market. They saw a vacuum in Asia where there were no major players in the market. We had the big players or the big boys from Europe and the USA, but there was nothing, no local players. So they wanted to have a presence in the Asian market. And what they also wanted to do was they wanted to establish a business that could give our clients transparency and information at their fingertips, okay, and have used technology in a big way. So what they did was they created 20Cube. We created a back office in India that would help us with a lot of the data entry, the data processing, and they used technology as the platform to move the business forward. So initially, when we started, we used OBM as the one base company or platform company in Australia and in China. And we used a company, or we acquired a company in India, which we used as the other platform company. And we built 20Cube based on these two established businesses. The company in India was called Omega, and the company in Australia was called OBM. So we used these as the platform companies and then built the business, so much so that today we are in 12 countries. Um, and we are looking to expand further in the next few years.
Oh, thanks, Stuart. It's a great story. A great story of expansion as well. Perhaps, if you wouldn't mind sharing, no one, certainly neither of us, could have predicted that we'd be in the middle of a global pandemic if we wind the clock back just 6 months. And I think in every business, it's created its fair share of challenges. Speaking from ours, most definitely. Would you mind sharing with us some of those challenges that you've encountered, particularly as a logistics business? I'm guessing that would have its own special challenges in the current environment that we've got.
Yeah, good question, Steve. Generally, when there is a crisis in a business, it either it impacts your clients or your employees or your systems, or sometimes it impacts your cash flow and your revenues. Using these four as sort of the foundations for a business, with COVID-19, it impacted the foundation. Okay, it impacted our clients, it impacted our staff, it impacted our systems and the cash flow. So it's something that we had to overnight face and find ways to counter these and to be able to overcome some of these issues. With regards to logistics, obviously we help our clients with moving their freight from A to B, from overseas to Australia, from Australia to overseas. And the biggest issue for us was one, being able to ensure that cargo was being delivered if we said it was going to be delivered at destination, or if we were going to pick up cargo from an overseas origin and bring it into Australia. One of the big challenges we faced was with the closing of the borders, they reduced or they stopped letting flights into Australia. Okay, and most cargo these days travel on passenger flights, in the bellies of passenger flights. And when they stopped the passenger flights coming through, there was a lack of space to bring in cargo by plane. Okay. What also happened was, when the pandemic first started, China, which is the manufacturer to the world, they had to close their operations. And so there was not a lot of cargo that was ready post the Chinese New Year. So as a result of that, a lot of the shipping lines reduced their capacity. They stopped their sailings, they had blank sailings. And so when things started to come out of the factories, whilst the production started to, the cargoes became available, then there was no space on ships. And we're still struggling with that, where China is now producing at their normal pace, but we don't have the capacity to bring the cargo out on ships, okay, because the shipping lines haven't brought back that initial capacity that they had pre-COVID.
No, yeah.
Yes.
No, thanks for sharing, Stuart. And credit to you and the team in terms of dealing with those issues in the context of your business and the business model. Tell me, if you will, they say every cloud has a silver lining, and there's no doubt at all that the COVID-19 cloud is a pretty dark cloud. Have you found any kind of opportunities that have presented themselves to you or the business over the last few months at all?
Yes, yes, we have. One of the most striking opportunities for 20 Cube and Australia in particular was when we were called upon by one of our clients who received an opportunity to supply PPE products to Queensland Health. Okay, and this sort of happened overnight. I received a call, can you help move cargo from China to Australia. And of course, we can help. Okay, we are freight forwarders, we can do that. And having said, yes, we can, then we had to scramble, look for space on aeroplanes to get the cargo here, because Queensland Health wanted the cargo immediately. Now, that threw up a few challenges, but we were able to, together with a lot of help from our local office in China, both in Shanghai and in Guangzhou, we were able to charter the aircraft and move this cargo from China to Australia and get it here to meet the deadlines. So we did that initially, and then there were follow-up orders that needed to come out by ship, which we have since moved out of China, got all the cargoes here in time. And so that's been a huge opportunity for us. In the meantime, there's been spin-offs from that to move cargoes from China to other parts of the world, which we've thankfully been in a position to do. Now, it just goes back to being in the right place at the right time, and the client who previously was not connected with any medical product, where we've been servicing this client for the last 15, 18 years, he made his call to us, and we were able to get in a position to do that. So, yeah.
No, it's a great story, Stewart. And look, thanks once again for sharing your time with us. I really appreciate that. I do look forward to us catching up face to face in the not too distant future. Of course, this will continue for some time, I'm sure. But again, Stewart, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. For those of you watching, Stewart shared some really interesting insights with us this time around, and certainly if there are any questions that anyone has, I'm sure he'd be happy to entertain those. So, Stewart, thanks again. Thanks everyone for joining us, and Stewart, I look forward to catching up very soon.
Thank you. Look forward to doing that, Steve.